Let me just welcome everyone to our most excellent and interesting webinar today. It's a bit of a departure for us, but in a very real sense, it's right in the middle of what we are. We are about inner peace, and Bethany Gania and Karen Reinhold to talk about a fascinating project that's about extending that inner peace outward through coherence that's created by meditation in order to reduce crime at the local city level. And so I'll turn this program over to them in just a moment, but first just want to introduce them a little bit by saying that Bethany is on the verge of being a certified awakened mind consciousness trainer. She's been studying with me here in Pennsylvania. She lives in upstate New York, and is just a very lovely person with 25 years of experience in biofeedback and neurofeedback. And she really got interested in this project some years ago and has partnered with Corinne, who is a professor of mathematics and statistics at State of New York University in Albany. And Corinne is working on the statistical effects of this crime reduction, and Bethany's organizing quite the whole thing. So it's a huge job, and they're going to tell you about some of the strides that they've made. So why don't I just turn this right over to you, Bethany, and if you want to introduce yourself a little bit more, and Corinne as well, that would be fine. We're really interested and excited in what you're going to talk to us about.
I'm just absolutely thrilled to be talking to the Mind Mirror community. I've been watching these webinars and getting to know you all. So what a blessing to be here. And I'm so happy to have Corinne with me. So yes, my name is Bethany. I've been studying biofeedback for 25 years and was introduced to the Mind Mirror 25 years ago at a National Guild of Hypnotists program with Anna Wise herself. And I always remembered, the Mind Mirror and how powerful it was, in this really impressive woman, who did my brainwaves and her great questions. And so it always stuck with me. And then I was at the Monroe Institute this past fall for the remote viewing program. And the trainer there, I said, what are you doing for fun or whatever? And she said, well, I just became a Mind Mirror practitioner. And, I'm studying with this woman, Judith, in Pennsylvania, and you're up there and you're really close. I said, oh, what's going on with the Mind Mirror? And then here I am. So just really thrilled to be part of this community and everything. So so this is Corinne, and we have been working on something called what we call the Global Peaceful Cities Project. And what it is a series of peace meditation research experiments where we are wanting to record and document the effects of people sending peaceful intentions to an area, a relatively small geographic area, and then Dr. Reinhold here does the analysis and the statistics to determine how much of an impact we've made. I'll tell you about my side, and then I'll send it over to Corinne. But pretty much how we do this is we have about a 15-minute protocol. It's a meditation protocol, and we send this meditation out through email. And we ask people to listen to the meditation at 7 in the morning, 12 noon, or 7 p.m. EST. And through the protocol, there's different sections to it. And 5 minutes of it is a heart opener to prime the nervous system to open the heart to send intention. And then approximately 4 to 5 minutes sending the peace into an area. And then we also have people send intentions to their own lives in the globe. And so by the end of the 15-minute meditation, we've all become more coherent. People get happier. We've seen that. We've been doing some research on that. So that's kind of how it works. But Corinne can tell you more.
My name is Karen Reinhold. I work at the University of Albany, Department of Mathematics and Statistics. And I joined Bethany because she is the creator who really went after this project. There has been other studies that show that the transcendental meditation in particular has had a global effect because there are tons and tons of research articles that talk about the effect of meditation on a personal level. And there are very few that talk about the effects that it has beyond a personal. That goes beyond just one person and affects the society around. And those are well-known studies that were done by groups with transcendental meditation. So Bethany said, why not try another meditation? Why not try the ones that we are training in? So that's how the Albany Peace Project started back in 2014,
Yeah.
2015. And from there, it starts growing and promoting these projects to other cities. The Transcendental Meditation had proposed that it requires about 1% of the population, so the number of people that need to be meditating to feel the effects. There were two figures around. There was the 1%, and then there was another one that is the square root of 1%. So the first papers that we read were with the square root of 1%. So we said, great. So we look at the population of Albany, and we look around all the people who have joined the event, and we certainly had reached more than square root of 1% of the population. So we did the experiment and look at the data, and nothing showed up. So we went digging back again to the research, and it said, well, no, the square root of 1% is only for when you train in the very special type of meditation with very experienced people. If you have regular people, then you need 1% of the population. And we look at our numbers, how many people were meditating with us, and we were not reaching that number. We were not reaching the 1%.
For the big city size.
For the big city of Albany. So we realized that we need to focus on smaller areas. So last year, we did that for the city of Schenectady. And guess what? We saw the effect. So we saw that the week and the week after we had the meditation, there was a drop in violent crime. And so we were very excited. So this year, in 2019, we repeated the experiment in the city of Albany. And I'm just coming home from looking at the data. And we saw also a reduction in crime during the week of the experiment and the week after. So, it's like whether you believe or not, it's a different matter. But we are very excited that the data is seeming to confirm the results. So we're very happy with that.
I guess you are. This is absolutely amazing. So 1% would be how many people, and how did you get them involved in this project?
So 1% of the city of Albany, 900 people? We only had 200, between 200 and 300 people meditating with us. So what we did is we look at the neighborhood within the city of Albany so that the number of our meditators will be able at least to be 1% of that area or a little bit more than 1%. So that's how we did it. There are, in the census, it's recorded how many people live in the different areas. So that's easy to do. But the thing is, we need to target an area so that 200 people was 1% of the area. We look for areas with 20,000 people or more, or less.
So do people gather so that they are sitting together, or are they meditating in their own homes or online, or how's that actually, what are the procedures, Bethany?
All the above. Sometimes we do group meditations, but we encourage people to do it at home. So I think most of the meditators are at home. Yeah. But we do offer to do small groups to come out, and that's always so beautiful, because when you have a group of people coming out to send peaceful intentions to an area, it's just like an amazing group. Right. So it's a blessing. As far as how do we do this? Well, I've been basically kind of walking around this town for a few years trying to promote this understanding that our thoughts have impact. There's a line in the Course in Miracles that says that if we accept that our thoughts have impact, that it would change our entire lives, right? That's a powerful thought, and it kind of makes us recognize our responsibility to our thoughts. And quite honestly, maybe it's a paradigm that not too many people are willing to take on. We're in the spiritual consciousness field. We get it. We're living it, right? And we see the benefits in our own lives, and we're working with intention all the time. But it's been an interesting thing, for me to take this to the street level. And even last year I was in the mayor's office doing this, So I have to tell you, it's been an interesting journey. I've seen all sorts of responses to this understanding. But we're going on, we're continuing on, and eventually the meme is getting out there. Certainly people like the Mind Mirror community, Monroe, Dr. Joe, all these other people that are putting this meme out there. But then, getting people to really own it is just, wow, it's a lot of work, I will tell you, but it's so worth it when we do this. And my dream was always that we could empower all of us. Like, isn't that an amazing thought that we can sit shoulder to shoulder and lift the world from our living room while lowering our own blood pressure, becoming happier, being able to sleep at night, reducing our pain levels. Like, this amazing way that we have been designed. We're hardwired to interact with the field this way. And just inviting more and more people to remember who they are, to remember this aspect of ourselves, and to put it into service. As difficult as it's been, I can't seem to say, I don't want to do this. It's almost like this is why I'm here,
Right.
at least. So I'm just here singing my little song, and I know more and more people will embrace it more. But you can see with the number of 200 people, we'd love that number to be higher. And by the way, Corinne and I are more than willing to do other types of studies, like say smog or water or things like that. My hope is that we get a bunch of people that love to be in service this way and then do these different measurements. What's limited us a lot is that it's hard to get data, right? So, right. Do you want to talk about that?
Right.
Yeah,
So
I'd love to hear about that. I just heard this as we were together this couple of days ago, Bethany, this term subtle activism, which is so absolutely perfect. People feel like they can't do anything to change the course of events in the US and in the world. And indeed, we can. This is where you get in touch with your power. And here you are gathering proof of that. It's fine to go around in the spiritual consciousness field and say, oh, you have infinite powers, but everyone wants some proof of that. So here is what you're doing. And then I would just love to hear more about how you got that. Yes, we have a question here from Cecilia Cervantes, wants to say, how exactly do you measure? So if we can ask you, Corinne, not only the answer to that question, but what got you involved in subtle activism?
All through my growing up time, I was into yoga, and I had always been into a spiritual path. So that's what hooks me in. In a way, this is a project that allows my two passions to come in together, right? The scientific side and the spiritual side. And that's why I'm here. But for a lot of people, it's really hard to believe that something so simple as a meditation have an effect beyond you. And it is really hard to say, well, what can I measure objectively to corroborate that this is happening? And there aren't too many things to measure. But at least in the United States, and that's why we look into crime, because information is regularly collected by police, and there are protocols by which all across the United States, people record with the same codes, right? So if a murder has one code, the robbery has a different code, etc. So at least that if you collect data in Albany or you collect data in Seattle, is going to mean the same thing. And that's important, if you want to repeat experiments in different cities. For example, what we are doing is try to replicate the TM groups have done before, which were looking at the crime data and see if there is something happening in that data. So we're doing the same thing. We are very lucky, for example, that the city of Albany collects this data and makes it available in their website very quickly. Last year, we experimented with a Schenectady that did not have, although they recorded in their books the crime numbers, they don't have the data so readily available. If you try to replicate what we have done in other cities, especially if it's not a very large city, with a big budget that they can hire people in computer science to put this data online, right? And then you face the challenge of collecting data. So, but this is a basic idea. You need a signal that is collected objectively, so that when you do an experiment, you can see if your experiment had an effect on that signal. We're doing that then with the crime data. Bethany said that perhaps one could look at the levels of ozones, of other sort of measurements that are regularly measured. But so far, we have not intended for a better level of ozone. We have intended for peace. So if you're intending for peace, we want something that measures that in some way. And crime, we thought it could be one of those.
But if
Yes.
people had access to other data, we are open to inviting the people that have been walking with us to say, hey, let's go send help for smog in Mexico City or something like that, which has been some of our conversations.
Right.
So we're inviting people, if you have a research study that you'd be interested in doing, we would, because the whole goal is to inspire people, to have them recognize that our thoughts have impact. So.
And that's the basic idea with this study. If we are able to repeatedly show that this has an effect, because if I show you the data and you see that the crime level is this level, and then all of a sudden you have a lower level when you do the meditation, you could very reasonably say, oh, well, that could have been a random effect. So, but if you repeat year after year, and you still see that, then you say, well, that thing that it could have been random, if it repeats over and over and over again, then there is something going on, right?
Yes, and that actually brings me to another question. So is this a one-day study, or are you doing it every other day or several days in a row? How can you be assured that the dip in crime, I think you said 25 to 30%, is not a fluke?
What we were doing is, like, for example, the data for last year, we see, for example, all the weeks, like you see a straightforward from 8 to 10 weeks, a level of, let's say, 3, right? And all of a sudden it drops to 1 in 2 consecutive weeks. So if you see a deep drop, there is an indication that something is going on. But we had to aggregate the data to make it meaningful, because if you have a signal that does this, once in a while you're going to have crime. So in the week, when the event happened, it could have been anywhere in the week. So when you see it all together in a week, there was a very low number. Suppose that you always see 1, right? So over here, you also saw 1, but in this one, altogether it was 1. In this week, altogether was 5, right? So if I compare then the two, here I have in the whole week combined, I saw 5. In the other week, I have only 1. Then there is a difference.
And we compare it to the rest of the city, right? So,
Yes.
So there's this kind of dip right in the area. What would we call it? Our target. I always hate calling it the target area, but our area of focus, right? Our area of focus. So when the crime continues to go up in the rest of the city and during the summer, as it always does, and then there's this little dip, it's more, it tells us something's probably happening.
Right.
Fantastic.
So we compare neighborhoods that are similar in the type of demography that they have. Every city has a bad neighborhood and a good neighborhood. If you compare the bad with the good, that's not really good. So you have to compare neighborhoods that have the same sort of characteristics. And if you don't see the dip in the other neighborhood, that's also telling you that what you're seeing is real.
So you'll ask the people who are participating in the study something like, focus on this specific neighborhood located in this quadrant and so many square miles or something like that?
Well, the neighborhood had names. So what we've been doing is asking people to focus, to send intentions to that one neighborhood with that name.
So last year it was the south end of Albany. The year before we called it the heart of the city in Schenectady. But in this 15-minute meditation, we're talking about that. We're basically directing people's thoughts to that. So they don't have to think of it themselves. We're actually walking you through the process.
You said that they do a meditation in the morning and at noon and in the evening?
7 o'clock. We invite people to come together and do it together because the research suggests there's a dosage effect. So just the way any medication, the more you take a medication, the more of an effect you'll have. The more we have meditators coming together and sending out a one coherent signal, it's a better dosage effect.
Also, when there's a group of people doing together at the same time, they combine effects. Or it is believed that that combines. So we need the research to confirm that that's happening. Because, they could be, if you could be meditating at any time in the city, but it's more powerful when you are meditating at the same time that other people are meditating.
Can you feel it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's what we live for. It's at the end of those that I just say, this is why I work so hard all year. Because it's amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody comments about it. Everybody who comes who participates in the project comments about that. at DCL, and there were a lot of people from the neighborhood that we've been attending also commenting on the differences during that week. Even though, it's like, I always feel that is ironic that we know that meditating is good for you, but boy, what a resistance everybody has about it. And we saw it here. Like we have all these programs to get involved, the community in particular in there. And I think very few of them actually came and meditated with us. But they were all happy to come and talk to us about it and participate in the event. So it's like another part of this work is we want to educate people and to bring it and so that people make it a part of their own life. And because that's the only way that this work really has a chance to spread.
So a couple of things about that, as far as the benefits that people experience. I remember one of our volunteers said, Bethany, every year I've participated in a peace project, I've received a different gift. And what happens is, I think we're just teaching people how to open their hearts. And so by the end of the week, we used to do it for a month, people's creativity would just flourish. And they were just kind of turned on for the first time in the longest time. So that's the amazing thing, is the creativity that you're going to see. You can't open your heart and not feel happier. I always say, when you open your heart, you're happy for no good reason. Like nothing in your external world has changed, but because we've connected to the field and we've opened our heart and we've become a vessel, all of our energy is lifted, right? So how could you not feel fabulous? And my other passion has always been to teach. I always feel like everybody should have the owner's manual to their own nervous system. Everyone should know how to toggle into the parasympathetic or heart rate variability, or balancing between the two autonomic nervous system branches. Everyone should know how to lower their blood pressure. Everybody should know how to shunt blood flow. Everybody, because this is our technology. It's like when I teach a lot of mindfulness in schools, and I'm always teaching the kids about their nervous system is like an app in their body. And if you had an app on your phone or something on your computer and you didn't know how to use it, it would be frustrating. And you could have this great technology, but if you don't know how to use it, what good is it? So we have this amazing technology of our nervous system, and no one's taught us how to use it. So how do we toggle ourselves? How do we take our minds, focus it in very disciplined ways to be able to reliably and repeatably bring on an elevated state of consciousness, or something. So that's my passion. And when you see people open up, or you see the contrast, I've been so humbled and so blessed so many times to be there for the first time somebody's meditated. And often they only come to meditation after something in their life has gone horribly wrong. Unfortunately, that's the way a lot of people come to meditation. Their map of the world has just been blown out, and they're disoriented. And to see them go from complete chaos to within minutes of just like, oh, that's right, I'm okay, that just always blows my mind, and I feel so blessed, and it just keeps me going. So
you
it's
bring
a beautiful
up
work. It's such a beautiful work.
Yes, and you bring up such an interesting point that HeartMath, when it runs its global peace initiative, those are really mostly meditators. I mean, they've been working with the M wave. So you're going into communities and you're just opening this up to any community member. And what do? You just set up a meeting and show up somewhere and invite people to come and hope they come and then talk to them? How does this actually work to gather the people that make up the 1%?
Well, Bethany has a program to train people. So it's like we prepare ahead of time. Of course, first, before we get it to the stage in which you can actually train, you had to do community outreach. So you want to talk about that?
A ton of community outreach, just massive amounts of, but the idea of, because the research shows also that there is a training effect, that the more we train, the better we get at holding our focus, and so that helps. But the program is pretty much teaching people how to elevate, how to lift their consciousness, and how to practice sending intentions to their own lives. And so we have smaller groups that I call it the Intentional Coherence Athlete Program. And the reason why is we're using intention to become more coherent. And the reason why I call it an athlete program is because just the way an athlete has to condition the body over time to maintain their performance levels, or a musician, right? Musicians, you practice your instrument and suddenly it clicks. That's the way the nervous system is. We're becoming inner athletes. We're training, how to hold this space within us. And then, and so every 2 weeks I give them a new thing. And then we in the meditations, we send intentions to our own lives. So then people are seeing that the intention is actually changing their lives. And that's amazing. But then everybody shares about what it is they want to change in their lives. And then we all support them. So the meditation includes beaming somebody with love that day. So so then people will often say, oh, I know it's my day, I'm getting the juju.
Oh,
Or,
yes.
the juju is kind of like, oh, it's my day for juju, So it seems to be, people sense it, and really kind of, I don't want to say karmic, but when, if something happens on your day, most of the time it's good, but it could be a real train wreck too. You also know in that train wreck, oh, wow, there must be a blessing in this train wreck. Like my name is on today. And I find it interesting that some days are just gorgeous, and other days you're like, wow, things are going really haywire. Oh, that's right. It's my day to receive intentions. Oh, the universe is recalibrating me. And I'm, like you can really see the wisdom in what's happening. And it's this beautiful support and that's why the people are just so committed to it, because I leave a lot of sharing. And so we're just sharing at such deep levels that, most people in their everyday lives, like the one midwife that comes to start work with us, she's like, we need each other. Like with those of us with these understandings, like we need each other. This is why Oksana has worked so hard to create this beautiful forum, right? Because this Mind Mirror community, I mean, to come together, and I've been so blessed by watching these Mind Mirror videos and just watching this beautiful exchange of people across the globe. I mean, just how elegant is that, right? I mean, thanks, Oksana, again.
So basically, it builds community.
Yes.
People are so thankful for that, because it's something that is really missing in a lot of the people's lives. And that's why people keep coming back to the project year after year after year.
And I will just say also, Corinne is actually on the board at the Unity Church here. So Corinne is very involved in Unity. Actually, I've been involved in Unity as well. So Unity has been support, our home base sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
yeah,
that's part of the mission of Unity, is to be the home of the Albany Peace Project.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'll see that. So, and we really need people like that. I mean, for those of you who have these understandings, I mean, we need you. We can't do this work without you. I always say, we can lay this beautiful table. Corinne and I are working really hard to get, what we need to do on our side. But all of that is for naught, unless people come and eat, unless people come and take part of this gorgeousness. We can't do this work without other people,
Yeah, and you are inviting lots of people to the table. This is really exciting. Talk a little bit about what part Andrew Tang is going to play, and then segue, if you will, to Bob Holbrook.
Sure. Well, Andrew, I was fortunate enough to be in my training, was it 3 and 4 with Andrew, and he's such a beautiful soul. And I just couldn't help but was singing my Peace Project praises, and and he got excited about it, because his passion is science and spirituality. Like that's what I think brings a lot of us together, is this combo. And so Andrew got so excited, and we know that Andrew's amazing, and the fact that if Andrew says, hey, why don't we do it this way? Andrew's actually one of the people that will actually do it. Like that's amazing. You gotta understand, I've had a lot of volunteers that always say, why don't you do it this way? And then, but Andrew, amazing. Like he actually does it. And so he actually took the initiative to purchase a Sputnik device, which is the same device that Joe Dispenza uses in his book, Supernatural. He would measure the energy in the rooms of his conferences and compare the energy in the beginning to the end. And so I've been familiar with Sputnik for a while. And then Andrew decided, hey, let's have another data point in this Peace Project, and maybe we can use Sputnik to measure changes in energy that we're sending intentions to. So somehow we are going to be integrating that. And on March 14th, we're going to do like a test run online. We'd love to have you involved, where we're going to have Sputnik in the room and send intentions to somebody who could really use some profound healing. And so we'll be beaming at the person for the healing, but we'll have Sputnik next to that person and to do some initial measurements. And we're exploring, like this is why we need your help, because we need more of these data points. I'm passionate to leave my kids or the next generation some footprints for them to walk through. And if we just got to start documenting this so that, you know, generations to come, they can start this, you know, us understanding this wake up call of who we all really are, you know, like, let's start. So we've got Andrew with the Sputnik.
I am very excited that Bethany is doing the training with you, because I can't wait until we can measure this on the meditations that we are doing and on the group of people who are meditating together for this. So I don't know, I'm very excited about it.
And Andrew's even talking in his amazing visionary aspects of possibly down the road when the portal's going, that maybe we could be documenting coherence among brainwaves of all the people in the mind mirror. I mean, how cool would that be, right? So that was Andrew's idea. So there's that. And I think you had asked me, we're also collaborating with the Institute of Heart Math. We've been with them for about 4 or 5 years. So they've given us permission to use the Heart Lock-in, their licensing for that. And then, yes, we just spoke with Bob Holbrook, who is the composer, is that correct, of the SAM frequencies that I know the Mind Mirror community are familiar with that. So Bob, amazingly, we told him about the study, and he's actually going to compose music that will follow through our protocol and kind of provide the heart opening when we do the heart and all of that. And he had just told me that he had spent the day before doing quick coherence with some people at Monroe, and he said their hearts were opening so much, everybody was crying all over. And he said, we won't have your people crying, but I can make you music to help open the heart. We won't have them cry so much, but that's always a beautiful sign of the heart opening, is that crying. So anyway, so we're super excited, and then Monroe will be partnering with us as well. So that just came in this week. So
yeah, and so he is the innovations director for the Monroe Institute.
Okay.
And the Monroe Institute is known, if anybody wants to go to monroeinstitute.org and take a look. One of the things that they are proudest of, and really is a reason everyone goes to them, is for the brain coherence. So they have some pictures. They had MRIs and all kinds of imaging done that showed that the hemisync, which is hemispheric synchrony or symmetry, and then a progression of that Bob has taken up and masterminded at the Monroe Institute, is the SAM, spatial angle modulation, which is gamma frequencies that are used again through headphones, but also to create coherence. And so I feel sure that he is going to use at least 40 hertz gamma beats in what he adds to your meditation track. That is, 40 hertz is known for creating coherence. So you will have I don't want to call it a double whammy, but so it is. You know, you'll have the meditation script, which I'm sure is partly based, as you said, on heart math and heart coherence, heart-brain coherence. And then your mind mirror knowledge, awaken mind knowledge of how to bring people into deep coherent states. And then you'll have Bob, you know, his gamma beats, his SAM beats. So I think you mentioned a little bit earlier, Corinne, that people have a greater effect when they are more long-term meditators. So this should be a real boost, Bob's participation in the program.
In many ways, yeah.
Yeah, and it's very neat that, you know, you'll be able to measure people on the mind mirror. I mean, the person to whom the attention is for healing is sent. If you can see a distinct change there.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Oh, we have the person hooked up. Oh, yeah. Okay, fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've got quite a pioneering program here with several data points. So I'm really excited for you.
And I'm excited to bring the mind mirror along with it, you know, and raise awareness of this amazing instrument that we are all gaining a greater understanding of ourselves and our relationship to each other. I mean, huge.
I would really love to see the Mind Mirror community participate in that. Oksana could send out an email at in time for your March study where Andrew's using the Sputnik, and I'll bet you that quite a few people would get involved in sending intentions as well, just
Oh,
increase
that
the
would be
numbers.
super. That would be really super.
Yeah,
And maybe they can join us at the next Peace Project.
Which is
absolutely.
scheduled for August, and it's going to be in Schenectady, New York. And just to let you know, if you go to the website now, there's just essentially how you can participate is just put your email in. I will tell you that this is a community effort. So if you go to the website now, it might look, it's a little outdated. We're going to change the what's on the opening page and all that, but just put your email in and you'll be in the loop. It looks like there's a chat question. Oh, how exactly do you measure? It looks like.
Yes, that was Cecilia, and she had to leave, but she said she'll watch the replay. She's a medical doctor and a healer, so of course this would be interesting to her, and to Andrea Pennington as well, is a healer. So, you know, we have a lot of healers in the Mind Mirror community. So, Arna, for one, there's no telling what he can cause to happen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Trevor, thanks so much. We got a note from Trevor. He said, love this. Thank you. We appreciate that. We love it too. So come play with us. You know, it's just fun. It's, you know, as far as the Mind Mirror community, yeah, it would be super if, you know, and I've always offered this opportunity because my vision for this, I always wanted Albany to be somewhat of a prototype and then inspire other cities to follow. The reason why Schenectady is rolling is because there's a yoga studio owner there who's gotten the catch the wave a little bit, and she's championing it in Schenectady. You know of somebody who's into this line of work, this work kind of opens doors that maybe we wouldn't have as a private practitioner. I worked in biofeedback for 25 years. I know how hard it is to be a practitioner in these alternative fields. It's tough. The idea that you're bringing a research project forward opens doors for individual practitioners like us. I know I wouldn't be where I was if I wasn't doing the Peace Project, meaning that just the Peace Project has gotten me into the schools, into the, you know, like different places that I wouldn't have been invited into. So if there are practitioners out there who have a passion for this and want to bring their communities together for something, it's a way that you can kind of bring your business along with it. You know, I'm open to totally co-promoting. So, you know, we all win, you know, we all kind of benefit, and we're raising awareness because, you know, we need this work. So
Wonderful. Let's make a plan to, if you ladies will let Oksana and me know about the dates, then we'll send out an email, and we could even invite some Mind Mirror self-trainers and practitioners to hook themselves up, for that matter, and see if there's a difference. I mean, what we're obviously talking about is a quantum resonant field here, so there should be some field effects for people who are hooked up. I mean, as you said, that everyone participating in this study ends up having extraordinary benefits themselves. So,
right, exactly. And I'm hoping to, from what I've learned so far from my training from Judith, our meditation, I can understand is an awakened mind meditation, right? So I'll be able to kind of co-promote the awakened mind, so to speak. So that'll just be interesting to start educating the public about these different levels of consciousness, and that there is this progression of consciousness and all of that. So it's opening the door to really bringing this mind mirror work out into the world.
fantastic.
Yeah.
What last words would you each leave us with, insofar as your effort or anything else?
I would like to invite everybody to join this effort because I think we are making history. Being able to repeat the experiment and confirm that the findings are true is groundbreaking work. And we need more of you, and let's all show that this is true.
And I really want to say that you have these understandings. The world needs you. What I've learned is I seem to have to sift through lots and lots of people to find that one person that says, oh, I get this. You know, I get this understanding. What I've realized is that we have to spread our net really, really wide to get the people who kind of get this concept and actually are waiting. They wish I could do more peace projects so that they could serve in this capacity more. We really need more people with these understandings and to commit to it as an act of service, because they're relative to the large population. The general population is not at this level of understanding. And so I just want to say that if you're one of those people, it's important that you, quote, show up, or it's important, you'll make a difference is what I want to say. And because when we get the data, then you'll help be inspiring other people. This is not just, oh, isn't that cute? It's like, no, we need, the world needs you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, subtle activism, I think, probably refers to the idea that you're working on the level of subtle energies, but the effects of you, as you are already showing with this project, are not subtle at all. They're quite real, and they count where it counts most, you
Yeah.
know, and protection of the public. And I mean, the first studies that I read about that had powerful impact on me and everyone else who entered subsequently this field of neurofeedback were Eugene Peniston's studies, which showed, you know, the meditators, he went into prisons and people were vastly changed. I mean, enormous effects on them. What ultimately they figured out was that these people who committed violent acts were cold. They didn't even have any concept or any feelings about hurting people. And so they ended up committing unconscionable and consciousless crimes. But after 30 neurofeedback sessions, they were paroled and they never came back. The recidivism rate was 64%. And among this particular population, and it dropped to 23%. So that is an enormous effect that meditation has.
Right.
You know, you're the work that's a challenge for you is that you're appealing to, in part, the general public who might even be able to swallow the idea that meditation might have a local effect, but on the level of subtle energies, well, that's tough for people. You mean it's floating around in the air, you know?
Right. You
So
can
the
imagine.
skepticism.
I mean, you can imagine, I've definitely
Right.
received my share of ridicule, or not, I've definitely received I remember one time someone saying to me, Bethany, you think you can affect crime? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And I can see why that's funny, but
the majority of the people are going to be feeling that way.
yeah.
And that's why doing the science and doing it well is important. And also, it's like, I think that everybody who's going to watch this video is already part of a community that is thinking in this particular way and knows, at least in an intuitive level, that this is actually happening. You know, we need more people like that to come with us.
And one other amazing part of why I've fallen in love with the Mind Mirror community and all of that is because it's on the table, God, spirit, source, creator, whatever you want to call it. Meaning that when the early years of the study, we would kind of struggle with it, trying to keep it secular. In the beginning, we would have all these conversations. Do we call it intention? Do we call it meditation? Do we call it, was it meditation, intention, or prayer? And all sorts of baggage that goes with each of those words. And, like it's been so sticky on so many levels. And I would just struggle, and I would just try to figure out, like, how do you kind of put it in a smaller box so that the public can get a hold of it without bringing in God. And yet, now we're just like kind of on a yes, it's all about spirit. And the Mind Mirror community, it's on the table that our brainwaves, we are connecting to a higher source.
And luckily, the general public as a whole also are embracing these ideas, because meditation is out there more than ever before. So
yeah, that's been a huge part. It wasn't on the cover of Time
and it's
before.
part of all this effort together that bring it to the front. And also, like, very renowned leaders embracing meditation have had an enormous impact. So I sometimes review at SUNY itself new programs, and I'm amazed that social science programs are all embracing meditation, and it's like you had to get trained if you want to have this degree. It's really amazing what's happening.
A huge
Bethany,
percentage
may I say a
of,
word?
yes, please.
I just want to say thank you, and I can feel, like, everyone who is watching this program, the enthusiasm and all the love coming out, and really purest, highest vibration intentions, something like that. But I have a couple of questions. Bethany, do you have any plan or protocol or template if you want to spread your project, like, worldwide? And if someone else would like to at least try to replicate and help you use your learnings, where do you start? Could you name the steps, at least at this stage? If there is nothing in written, just name them again like, where do you start? What are these other organizations that maybe you approach first and work with to
Excellent.
take
Yeah.
the word out? And then do you have, second question, component probably of the first question is, do you use any PowerPoint slides or like real data where you show people the graphs and charts saying, hey, have a look, that's what we've done so far, that's what we found so far? Maybe, I don't know, maybe when you just started, you use someone else's research just to persuade any actual like
Yeah. Yeah.
something like statistical. I know it may be boring, but for some people you need something more tangible and statistical to persuade them.
Absolutely.
And so that's where, you know, also Mind Mirror probably will contribute. So you'll measure something that was considered to be intangible before. So again, just to repeat myself, the first question is, where do you start? What are the steps that you follow to basically engage the community and find your participants, you know, the key people for your project? And then do you have any the statistical elements that you use to persuade?
Yeah,
Thank
thank you for your question, because it shows that you're really taking it through a bit, and I appreciate that. We have on the website, I can send a link out. It's a city organizer course that will do a lot of that. This suggests the organizations to approach and all of that. The idea, what I tell people is, you know, take a look at that course, sit with it, see how you feel. And, you know, I'm available for mentorship, and we can give you some of our materials. I would suggest a year out in advance. So you come up with a year timeline, you kind of find your champion players early on, you set a date and work backwards, and then you learn the 15-minute protocol, and it's all fun. And I always say you're going to meet the most amazing people. I mean, I didn't know when I started this project that I would meet, like, they're just such a blessing. I mean, you're going to meet these beautiful people that you may not have met. So it's all in the organizer course. I'm here for mentorship. Corinne is here to help with statistics and analysis. So if you find something to measure and your community is struggling with something and you can get a hold of data for us, we're willing to put that rest together for you.
To address the second question, right now we are having our own data, but when we started, we went with the Maharishi studies. So in particular, the one done in Washington, D.C., they have a spectacular graph that it shows as the number of meditators increase, the crime goes down. It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
So that's the one thing that we use.
So that helps, that graph, and then we can give you other slides
Right.
for our data.
So after these last 2 years, now we're going to be able to put our own data online as well. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
And thanks for the love. It gets me so excited. I remember years ago, I was working with someone else, and he said, I've never met anybody who's so excited about meditation. So the fact that you were just saying, you can feel the excitement. I'm like, oh, it's so fun. Like I haven't always had, you know, like, wow. Other people are excited too. It's not just me. Anyway, thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
I really like what you said, Corinne, about seeing so much change in the world. I see it too. You know, on some levels, it doesn't look so good. But on the levels of the numbers of people who are moving toward being more committed to conscious evolution, the numbers are definitely growing.
Yes.
And I do see the potential in your project to awaken people who nobody approached before, who maybe didn't know how to take a first step toward meditation, or toward maybe had the impulse but didn't know how to act on it. And
right.
I can see that you are part with this project of the change, especially your work going in schools as well.
Yeah, and I think there are people who are kind of agonizing you. This is what happened to me. I watch the news and I'd say, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. And I know that there are other people sitting there saying, boy, I wish we could just send prayer here. So I'm inviting those people to, you know, give, this is in fact, you know what it was? Remember, was it Wendy in my first session? And she said, Bethany, just thank you to even know that this opportunity is there for me, because she sat back and wanted to send love to the world somehow. And those people, I want to give them some footing underneath them. They don't have to go through the trial and error I've gone through. They don't have to go through all that. we put it together for you, and and I always say, we'll do the technical aspect. You get the fun part. You get the networking. You get to go out and meet the people. And
well, thank you both and your collaborators to be for being catalysts of change and for inviting us and allowing us to be part of that. And I feel sure that a significant number of people from the MindMirror community will participate. And we really look forward to it. Thank you. Thank you for being on this
It
program.
was fun being here.
yeah, thank you.
We look forward to being with you again, if only in cyberspace. Thank you both. Thank you for joining us, everybody.
you.
Thank you for tuning
Thank
in.
you.
We'll be back in touch with you with Bethany and Corinne's dates for the March program and also for the August program in Schenectady.